Welcome back to the next unit on how to monitor the business partner integrations. As you already have seen that B2B integrations are a little bit different if you compare to A2A integrations, you will now see how to monitor them because of these challenges. Let me at first start. What are the challenges there? So the challenges we have seen in the B2B integrations are the data volume. Because of lots of trading partners, sometimes up to several thousands, this means the volume and the number of messages is really high, up to enormous. This means finding the correct messages is a really important factor. The number of multiple systems or the number of systems at all is another factor. This means the selection, which system is integrated with which, and how to find the correct message for this is another one. Network connectivity, because you're transferring data over public networks or over WANs, also means you have here to do a good selection and check on how these networks are working. Data integrity, because you're sending sensitive data from your company to your trading partner, also receiving sensitive data from these companies. This means you should have a good possibility on how to check if these data are really acceptable, to validate these, to check the content, and so on. And timeliness, because very often these integrations have strict SLAs and reaction times on, for example, when should an acknowledgement latest be sent, or is it already overdue, which might interfere how your business is working. The starting point of the monitoring is a complex filter possibility. As said, the data volume might be quite high, and normally you are not interested in messages where everything is okay. You're really interested in specific messages, in specific interchanges with maybe a specific trading partner or in specific error categories. And therefore, we have added here a lot of filtering possibilities. For example, around the status, is the message completed or is it overdue? Of course, the creation time. You can here select different time frames when that message was sent or received. The error categories, so maybe you're only interested in messages where a validation error happened. Or of course, you can also select for sender or receiver name, the interchange names, and much more to really have a quick possibility to find the message and all of the messages you got and if you sent, where you want to have a deeper look inside. If you found that message, the next step is the B2B details. So at first you see directly here at the top the status of that message, but also kind of sub-status like the processing status, but also the technical and the functional acknowledgement status, because these different status might be different and are important for you. Here we see a kind of boring message because it's completed, everything is green, but only that you get an idea what you can find here as details. So you see here also the information when the message handling started, when it ended, what kind of transaction type it was, with whom you have sent that message, also what was the adapter type, which control number has been used, what kind of format you have used, and much more. And here on the tabs you also see the event tab, the acknowledgement tab, and the payload. So with the event tab, maybe you remember the generic integration flow we are using, which is logically one big integration flow in the trading partner management. But technically, we use several integration flows, and each of these integration flows are sending events, and you here have access to these events. The function acknowledgement, you get here more details when it was sent, and so on. And with the interchange payload, you have access to the data which has been going as a payload over the line. The events I already talked about, which are coming from the technical integration flows, which are several in that generic integration flow. can be used to drill down more into the technical monitoring, so the monitoring of cloud integration, to exactly see what happened inside there if a problem occurs. So you have here more details. You also have the normal possibility to set also this integration flow to trace if you really need to jump into these technical details. As the integration advisor is not only delivering you the mapping as a kind of XSLT, but because of the knowledge we have in the mix, the qualification, the code lists, and much more, we also generate as artifacts validation material. This validation material can be used, you have seen this in the trading partner management with an additional checkmark, and this can be used here to make it much easier than before to find problems in the messages. Like here you see in the overview, in the interchanges, there's the box interchange validation failed. This means something with that message had been incorrect. If you now take a deeper look inside, you see exactly the interchange validation failed in that second box here, what exactly was wrong in that example. So like it was not a value which comes from a code value list, although that field requires that code value list, or maybe it was too long because here you have a length restriction or stuff like this. So this really helps you to find more about this interchange where you had some issues inside. Also in the B2B world, acknowledgements are a kind of standard and normally everywhere used. This was the reason to add here the possibility in the agreement to switch on the possibility of the functional acknowledgements to receive. And this is also then reflected in the monitoring, like you see here in the right box, that we switched on receive functional acknowledgements. And here we have then in the monitoring received the functional acknowledgement, but unfortunately our receiver rejected that message because of whatever reason. And with that knowledge and the data from the trading partner management, because you know which company you have dealt with, you have the information from that company, you have also maybe maintained the contact persons, you now easily can contact that person, that responsible person, to find out why has this message been rejected. And with that, let's have a look in the system how the monitoring looks like. Let's now open the monitoring, the B2B monitoring, in our tenant. You find it under Monitor, B2B Scenarios. You see how many interchanges had been handled in the past 24 hours, and you see here the possibilities of our filtering, like you can search for failed, retry messages, processing completed, or also for waiting for acknowledgement messages. You can adjust the time frame when that message was sent, that you can deal with that large number of messages. You can drill down or search and select more which kind of error category you're searching for, like interchange validation failed. You can search for the sender and receiver name and many more things. Now you can, in the next step, select the message, in our case, a completed message, and find out more details of this message, like what kind of message type had been used, what was the ID inside that, but you see already here the events of the generic integration flow and the access to the payload, which can also be downloaded. Let's now select a different message where we see that the acknowledgement has been rejected, so our receiver has not accepted that message. Or here, the validation has failed, so you see here that the message which had been sent out has used as a currency dollar instead of USD, which what been expected here and which had been defined in the code value list. So we get here different error messages around that value because at one it's too long. It's only allowed to have 3 letters here, like USD for dollar or EUR for euros. So it's already too long. And you see in the other lines, it's not in the code value list. This means this value is here not accepted. And with that information, you can then, depending on if the message comes from you or if it's from a trading partner, can then either modify your systems or mappings or contact your business partner, your trading partner, to check with him what exactly happened on his side. And you of course see in which field this had been occurred. As said, our generic integration flow is technically several iflows, and you have here the possibility to drill down to that technical iflow monitoring, and you see then also here in the monitoring what exactly has gone wrong in that monitoring or in that message, that the message cannot be accepted by your company or by your trading partner, depending on of what kind of direction you are here using at the moment. With that, you have now seen on how to monitor your business partner integrations in a kind of comparison between the technical monitoring of cloud integration and the added value of our B2B monitoring, like the acknowledgements, like the validations, like the access to the payload, and many more things, and of course the filtering to deal with our challenges we have seen here at the beginning of the unit. If you're interested in more and need more knowledge about B2B integrations, because that's a huge field we have, we're at the moment working on a B2B OpenSAP course, which will be also available very soon. So stay tuned and hopefully see you there. Thanks a lot for your attention.